second part of Legionnaire's disease and why the tobacco industry was interested in it, and why we should probably consider that there was a good reason, and is a good reason now, to consider what's going on in terms of current episodes or the disease called Legionnaire's disease. Is it really something that we understand? Is it something that develops from a bacteria, be it petri dish? Well, one of the lawyers at Brown and Williamson, which was looking into this, ironically, right after the Legionnaire's disease, one of the head lawyers was trying to figure out how this would be applicable to useful technology. This useful technology applied to their own business. And so a lawyer by the name of Pebbles put it this way: what was the net payout and on the gain, and could they use this G13 expanded tobacco process, which was caused effectively by an industrial compound of a very volatile gas, freon, notably the DuPont name, but there were others. And could they use this to a net gain and anticipation of the projected date when, and this is very interesting to me, when they were going to at one point ban the use of freon. Well, so with that in mind, the process which used freon and left freon in tobacco cigarettes, such as they did in the Legionnaire's disease, in Merid, which was another product, not B&W's. He concluded, the lawyer that was making the analysis, whether to use this or not, said the safety of the smoker is an issue, and whether or not there is a phosgene problem, and if so, what kind of problem might it be? And then also, apparently, because of the way this was processed through skids and in giant units, there was a safety problem in terms of the workers. And then there was finally, and most importantly, to environmentalists who were active in the 1970s, and particularly that year, 76, and this is an analysis of whether or not to use the freon and the tobacco treatment process, which had been going on for years, and Brown and Williamson, very thorough about their examination, determines, well, we got to consider these first two problems, and then let's go to the third one, and that is pretty much of a quote, the ozone theory problem, which involves the safety of future generations of persons inhabiting the earth. And that's a quote. Actually, was he that concerned? Future inhabitants of the earth. That is a direct quote from Ernest Pebbles, lawyer at Brown and Williamson in 1977, considering the use of the same thing that produced the phosgene gas theory by Levangi and others. Okay, so having considered those 3 points, and knowing that, there was a Product Safety Commission, and they had also come into consideration with a Natural Resource Defense Council petition, which Levangi had created to ban aerosols. Well, not Levangi needed, but there was a petition out there to ban aerosols containing the CFCs, and the Environmental Protection Agency was also there. Well, we all know how they work politically, and they were contemplating a ban also of the use of this product. So, how are you going to find this cost-benefit relationship? Well, let's catch it while we can. But the F11, which was Freon 11 then, was considered by this lawyer, and he said one of the things the tobacco industry will eventually be discovered by the EPA. Well, the EPA was much more involved in global warming and issues pertaining to protecting the environment in the 1970s, particularly in the Carter administration, I imagine, due to also the public's awareness of an ongoing problem with the environment. And so one of the observations here is, well, we don't want to get caught, essentially. And if we do get caught, it could be prominently featured against us in some way or other. So when we get to Pebbles' continuing analysis, we realize that the petitioner's alleged condemnation of Freon 11, Lieutenant Lange's use of the refrigerant, in terms of what it actually does, produce an incidence of phosgene gas when exposed to a coke catalyst and so forth, the burning end of a cigarette. Now, and also, furthermore, the concept of moisture, and this is the petition. This is the petition that entered into the Product Safety Commission, using moisture, the coke catalyst, the burning of a cigarette, and so forth. And the petitioner believes the leakage of Freon 11 from the air conditioning system of the Bellevue Stratford Hotel in July 1976 was the cause of 31 deaths attributed to Legionnaire's disease. So, now this is the briefing paper. This is the briefing concepts of whether or not, Ronald Williamson wanted to use this as a part of their stock issues of tobacco, because they would save money on it, they wouldn't have to pay the farmers very much, and they wouldn't have to have as much tobacco. It could be processed. Is that really what we're talking about? Yes. I've often wondered how corporate heads can turn a moral direction. The compass seems to be wobbly, and nevertheless, this is a legal discussion. It's sort of like, shall we do it or shall we not? And so, while it was certainly put into at least the consideration of Ronald Williamson, the properties of the Freon 11 as it appeared in the G13, there was a conclusion that the residue that was left in there, at least the amount that was left, was enough to cause a really pointed admission that this could be caught in terms of future activities, because we're basically dealing with a trichloral difluoromethane R11, and this can become phosgene gas under certain specific conditions, and that the military chemical warfare specialists concluded, consulted by Levangi and put into that consumer safety report, they were aware of the process, and they knew that there was not only the potential but the likelihood. So phosgene, as defined, could be not just a refrigerant, but therefore an agent of a real problem in terms of its catalytic effect on people who used it, in terms of the cigarette, and in terms of what happened in the CFCs. So the theory's proof was fairly good and sufficient, but an element in Pebble's analysis is, well, should we get involved with this? And if we get involved with this, what are we going to encounter in terms of our basic the basics of human beings and later populations, later years. In other words, the planet. And so, intriguingly enough, we have a very cold analysis of whether we're going to incorporate this in Brown and Williamson documents, and this is the conclusion, basically. What are the risks of getting caught? And if we do get caught, you may have a problem. But here, I think, is where I'm really concerned, because I'm wondering what's going on right now. Surely the master settlement didn't do anything. I mean, after all, that was not a global settlement. And when you're talking about this kind of production, under our knowledge that is basically public now, tobacco companies had been using for years the process of liberating freon into the atmosphere. Freon, a very unstable gas, and that had a basic effect on the environment. And coming along were the soon-to-be Nobel laureates, the environmentalists, who found the CFCs to be potentially and effectively a culprit, the culprit, if as soon as they got their awards, it was known to be the most effective way to destroy the ozone layer. Now, so here's a man who seems to be making an observation on the heels of the Legionnaire outbreak. How interesting. And the concept was basically in dealing with how much can we bear, because on the skid units, a small unit, 600 pounds, maybe an hour or whatever, but the bigger one, thousands of pounds per day. And then if you look at over a year, and you have 10 larger units, the releasing of this residual freon into the environment, and therefore into the ozone layer, amounted to thousands and thousands of pounds. So if we started at point 1, being in before 1976, or even 76, 77, and we're still doing it, how many thousands of pounds have we accumulated? Well, that's quite a bit. And remember, I don't think that the MSA agreement changed any of this. So what's happening over in Belgium? Is there a plant over there? Is there a plant near Montreal? Is there this stuff going on and still under consideration? It's just one more part of what we have in terms of our management of what seems to be a problem for us all. Well, CFCs and then residual leptin smoking products like cigarettes,